Colin Kaepernick had a workout this past weekend in the maize and blue game for the Michigan Wolverines. He is getting set for an NFL comeback. He said, though, that he is willing to be a backup in this league. There's starting jobs out there, though, including Seattle, maybe Carolina, and there's other quarterbacks battling for starting jobs and hoping to get traded to be starters. AJ, if you had the choice between Colin Kaepernick, signing him, trading for Baker Mayfield, or drafting one of these quarterbacks in the draft, rank those for me. Rank those three.
Wow. And Colin Kaepernick's a backup in this scenario.
It's just a quarter. It's a body. It's a body. Okay. Whatever you do with it is fine. But just
you have a hole at the quarterback position. Fill it top
at number one. I'm drafting a guy like Malik Willis, not necessarily like Malik Willis. At number two, I'm probably signing Colin Kaepernick, and at number three, there's Baker Mayfield. Now, I understand Baker's in the youngest part of his contract, but for me, I'll be honest, this is a little heavier on the fact that I just think it's time. Colin Kaepernick has paid his dues, and he paid more dues to the world. And the fact that we're still blackballing a guy who's acknowledging it, at least take the requisite steps. He's not coming back in and saying, I deserve to be a starter. He's saying, let me earn a spot again. Give me the opportunity. And I think it's time. Like, come on, let's be real.
That's the biggest thing here. And I told you guys before the show, and I'm going to be completely transparent here. When we were prepping for the show, I'm looking over the news and notes, trying to get some nugs to supply with my news. And I'm scrolling through Twitter through all of just the nonsense I'm seeing about Colin Kaepernick. And we've seen Colin Kaepernick jump through flaming hoops to try and get back into the NFL. Whereas guys like, and I don't mean to offend anybody, like guys like Josh Gordon, who continue to get suspended and then come back into the league, he's not going through flaming hoops. He's going through hoops. Sure, I'll give him that. But Colin Kaepernick, like you just said, AJ, is doing all of the right things to get himself another shot. Now, the one thing that I wanted to talk about with it all is that he's 34 years old and hasn't played an NFL down in quite some time. That's the concern. That's why I don't like talking about, like, with all of this stuff, it's like there is all the outside, the off the field stuff with Colin Kaepernick that you have to consider. But no, we're done talking about that. This is about this 34-year-old quarterback who's trying to get back in the league and whether or not he can be a better option than a Baker Mayfield or a quarterback that you're going to be drafting. Aaron, you're Mr. Football. You're X's and O's. 34-year-old quarterback, hasn't played it down in quite some time. What are your thoughts on that?
There's definitely an impact, right? The game has changed over the course of since he's been gone. The fact of the matter is it has changed. He's not going to be as athletic or have the same type of arm strength that he had when he first came out. So we can stop with, I'm in the best shape of my life, blah, blah, blah. No, there is nobody that's faster at 34 than they were at 24. Like, that's not a thing in football, especially. But I think this is not about whether Colin Kaepernick deserves a chance or not. We keep talking about, does he deserve a chance? Well, do you know how many players out there deserve chances to have opportunities to play that don't get them? He's not the only one. Was he blackballed? Yes, he was blackballed. There was a social injustice that the NFL was not ready for. They've already come out and said, yes, maybe we did approach that the wrong way. But this is about attention. This is about, do you as an NFL organization want to draw attention to a situation and it not result in winning? Colin Kaepernick is not going to come to a team right now, the Seattle Seahawks, anybody, and be a winner. He's not going to win with those teams that need quarterbacks. So all you're doing in that sense is bringing a distraction to a team that is trying to rebuild. Now you're bringing in a veteran aging quarterback to do that. I think this is the problem with how he's trying to get back into the NFL. If he wanted to go play, he needs to go to a situation that's already set. He needs to go be the backup for Lamar Jackson, right? The backup in Baltimore plays a similar style that he doesn't have to worry about being a distraction on a team that's trying to just change a culture and actually try to win, right? Actually trying to build something. I think it's too far gone. I don't think the NFL is going to bring him back in some capacity. If he does get picked up on a roster, I think it's on a team that already is set at quarterback and is going to give him an opportunity to play that backup role, but it will not be a distraction. Somebody with a strong locker room, a strong leadership. And I don't really see that right now in the NFL. Why are you going to bring him in next to Drew Lock? What is that going to do
Yeah,
for
right.
you? Like, it's going to do nothing for the Seattle Seahawks. So I just don't see it. I'm kind of tired of the conversation. Like, we know it was wrong what happened, but it's over with. And the fact of the matter is he's 34 years old. And if any team out there thinks that they're going to win a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, I'm sorry, you're mistaken.
Yep.
But you can go look at the numbers throughout his career. He had a good season. He took him to a Super Bowl, but he was never a proficient passer, and his athletic ability is not what it once was. I don't want to hear that. I watched him throwing the ball. His arm didn't look that great. His mechanics didn't look that great. The receivers out there sucked, but that's another story. I just, honestly, I'm tired of the conversation every year, and it never happens. So it's pointless to me.
Do we know now? I'm curious. I don't know if you guys know. Was he ever offered a backup job over the last few years, and he's just been holding out to be a starter? Do we know any of that information?
Do you really know? He canceled a workout, right? He
Right.
canceled a workout because of some language, and then he only wanted to do it where they're playing mind games now with each other, and they're trying to play still this blame game. Who knows? But who cares? Who really cares? Colin Kaepernick put it this way. If Colin Kaepernick was Josh Gordon and had the talent of Josh Gordon, he'd be in the NFL. If he had the talent of an elite quarterback, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He'd be in the NFL. We've seen this over and over again. I've watched Pac-Man Jones. I've watched guys. Ray Rice came back in the league. You know what I mean? They tried to give him an opportunity to come back, and he sucker punched this woman. There have been other people that have done bad things, terrible things.
Yeah. It's one of those
terrible
things
things.
It's one of those things we get on the NFL for sometimes looking at the talent more so than the moral of what happened. And if what you just said is sometimes that's the thing, the talent will always outweigh the moral of the story or whatever's happening outside, because that's what the NFL, it's a business. They're trying to make money. They make decisions that aren't really
right there. That's it right there, because I don't think the talent situation goes in this case, because there's been multiple years, maybe not today. Today, you were right. The talent is not there. 2-3 years ago, he was better than starters in the NFL. He wasn't talented.
He wasn't talented. He wasn't that great when he was starting.
Clear message that this will never happen again. So it doesn't matter
it's not
how good or bad he's going to be.
That's
he's
not
not
the NFL. You keep saying the NFL. The NFL is not the one who signs these players. Those are the owners. The owners are saying you're bad for my brand. And they're not wrong when they say you're bad for my brand, because as much as we say it was wrong that he didn't get a job, the minute he comes into a building, it is a distraction. There's no arguing that. It is an absolute distraction. The conversation is not about your team. The conversation is not about what you're trying to do on the football field. The conversation is Colin Kaepernick. That is a distraction to any NFL organization. So if I'm an owner, and I'm not saying that he never deserved a job, but if I'm an owner, I don't want him. I don't want that distraction. I don't want a guy like that that's going to draw that much media attention and take away from my team.
And I feel like if you can outweigh that problem, then they'll sign you no matter what. But at 34 years old or 33 years old or 32 years old or whatever it may be, he's not outweighing that. I mean, it's difficult to do. And I mean, there is the argument out there of people saying, "Oh, he's better than some of the starting quarterbacks in this league." You don't know that.
He is.
You don't know that at all. You don't know that. No one knows that. He hasn't been in the league.
Never will.
And we never will.